Olympics. A recent YouTube video has many concerned over the way a religious group does business.
Jehovah's Witnesses are coming under fire for allowing a convicted child molester to go door to door on their behalf.
News 5 investigative reporter Carlos Vergara looked into the matter. He joins us live in studio. You found out the Springs congregation takes steps to protect itself, but could be putting your family at risk. Tell us about it.
Rob, Elizabeth, this all starts nearly a quarter century ago when Waymon Ivory was convicted of first-degree sexual assault of a 9-year-old girl in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He served time for the crime and says he turned his life around, in large part to Jehovah's Witnesses. But some aren't so forgiving when it comes to the way Jehovah's Witnesses knowingly allow him to approach your homes, all the time keeping it at arm's length when it comes to their own church.
And I've regretted it ever since.
66-year-old Waymon Ivory agreed to this TV news interview so long as we wouldn't show his face.
I had no idea, no clue as to the total effect that it would have.
The effect it would have on the 9-year-old stepdaughter he molested 2 decades ago.
I know that I hurt a little person.
But years later, what has people up in arms is the fact that Jehovah's Witnesses, knowing his past, allowed Ivory to go door to door on behalf of the religious group, a convicted child sex offender, to knock on your door. So we went in search of answers directly from the people that go door to door. We found them in the area of Lazy Lane Circle in northeast Colorado Springs when I was approached by 2 of the women.
My name is Nina, and this is my friend Trudy.
They were eager to speak to me about their mission before I identified myself as a reporter for News 5. But then they quickly went on their way. So we approached them. This time, they weren't so eager.
We'd appreciate it if you followed our request.
Yes, ma'am, but I've done that, and I have no answer. After Jehovah's Witnesses had visited Peter Conroy, we knocked on his door.
Do I think that such a person is going to, drag off, a minor member of my household? Highly unlikely, but, it's always possible.
Conroy says that at some point, after paying your debts to society and changing your ways, you should have a second chance. Even better, says Conroy, members of Jehovah's Witnesses always approach in pairs.
Hopefully that works, but you can never tell. It's an unknown.
Mr. Ivory, by all accounts, has lived an upstanding life since his conviction in 1992. He served his time, but Jehovah's Witnesses doesn't allow him to hold positions of authority or to counsel children with its own ministry. However, he's allowed to volunteer by going door to door, something that could be seen as hypocritical, the church allowing an ex-convict to knock on your door. We wanted to know why. Mr. Delaney, this is Carlos. An elder at Kingdom Hall congregation said he would help, but never followed through. When I finally spoke to another local elder by phone, he told us he would get back to us.
I think that I could arrange for today.
Okay. Yes, sir. I'd appreciate that. Our deadline is 3 o'clock this afternoon. But that deadline came and went. So we called the main offices of...
Good afternoon, Jehovah's Witnesses.
You're Waymon Ivory? Yeah, and who are you?
This all came to a head after Roman Vargas confronted Waymon Ivory in a Colorado Springs neighborhood.
You're a convicted, violent child rapist?
The YouTube video had thousands of views and many angry comments in only days before it was taken down. In the video, Ivory denied the charges.
No, you got it all wrong.
But we found out that Ivory had indeed served less than a year of a 10-year sentence for the attack on the young girl. So we knocked on Mr. Ivory's door in the Springs.
Now,
Talking about your past.
No, absolutely not.
Sir? Initially, Ivory wouldn't talk to us, but eventually did so because...
I feel like dirt.
He claims serving as a ranger in Green Beret in Vietnam and Desert Storm caused him post-traumatic stress disorder, but says now that he takes full responsibility.
What I did was extremely wrong.
Since the religious group refused to talk to us officially, we asked Ivory why he thought Jehovah's Witnesses allowed him to go door to door knowing about his past. Is it on them at all?
They allow this simply because they have a safety net in place, and that safety net is sending 2 or more people to each door that they go to. I don't go to, and I have not gone to doors by myself, and it's not because of the charges on me, but it's just the policy of the witnesses.
But our interview with Ivory raised more questions about others with serious criminal pasts who could be knocking on your door next.
Some people that have been committed of crimes like what I committed, they have more restriction on them than I do.
Now, we'd like to be extremely clear. Neither Ivory or Jehovah's Witnesses are committing a crime. In fact, last year in California, appeals court, it ruled that the church was under no obligation to warn congregants of a sex offender in their midst, calling it, quote, burdensome, unquote. That overturned a ruling in favor of a young woman who was molested as a child in the church. Ivory, who was registered as a sex offender in Colorado and Wisconsin, promised News 5 that he'll never volunteer to go door to door again. Sidebar, we're still waiting to hear back from Jehovah's Witnesses regarding their door to door policy on convicted criminals.